So how do you make sure that you achieve this sustainable economic growth rate? The key is innovation. I mean, there is no escaping innovation, because we have the largest pool. We are proud to talk about it, the engineering pool, scientists, researchers. But on the innovation front, we are lagging. We need to necessarily, and honestly, I'm a big fan of all the policy decisions that the finance minister and the central government has come out on the innovation front. The Atal Innovation Mission is personally, I'm a Atal Innovation mentor. It's a creation of genius, ladies and gentlemen. We couldn't have asked for anything more from our leaders. This, the extent to which the mission has gone, trying to penetrate, trying to get our youngsters embrace a philosophy of innovation. At the school level, there are 10,000 schools across the length and breadth of the country where they have invested 20 lakhs, phase 1, 50 lakhs, phase 2, to get our children understand and know what innovation is all about. And then they have created incubation centers. There's a whole ecosystem that is in place. And it enthuses. I feel overjoyed when I look at all these policies that the central government has come up with. Make in India, obviously, you're all aware of it. But I think we need to necessarily transform. I mean, from Make in India for it to be successful, we've got to start designing in India. And before design, think in India. That would be the natural cycle. And I think Atal Innovation Mission is what is working on it. And the reason why I say innovation is key for economic growth, I talk about this very well-known economist called Joseph Schumpeter, spelled with a J, and Germans will know it as Ja. J in German is pronounced as Ja. Joseph Schumpeter was the finance minister of Austria, Germany, post-World War I. In my view, he was a brilliant economist. He was the finance minister. He eventually moved to the US and he became a professor of economics in Harvard. He came up with this theory of creative destruction. He said, for you to be able to sustain any economic growth in any country, you need to creatively destroy what exists. And if you were to look at what goes on in high tech, you will see 100 years ago, you had the gramophone. Gramophone got replaced with the vinyl records. Vinyl records got replaced with the spool. The spool got replaced with the boombox, the two-in-ones with the Walkman with the CD Walkman, and then the iPod. I mean, if you look at every 10 to 15 years, there has been something new that has been obsoleting what exists. And of course, the iPod, one of the most successful products ever launched, 500 million units sold globally, average price $200 to $500. You can easily do the arithmetic. Massive success in the marketplace. The reason why I mention iPod and the music industry itself is because whenever we think of innovation, we think of idea. Idea is the starting point for innovation. Not every idea is innovative, but every innovation has an idea. And an idea becomes innovative when it becomes successful in the marketplace. So this bridge, this connect between the idea and the market is what we need to necessarily master. And so it obviously starts with a value proposition, any idea that you have. Then the market that is when you've got to qualify the idea and look at market reality, competition, design comes into play, and that design eventually has to lead to growth. And we were talking about risk, and each stage in that innovation cycle, there is a certain risk that is being addressed, or the startup is confronting a certain risk. Initially, it is tech and product risk, which then moves into market risk, then financial risk, because you got to become profitable, eventually growth, sustaining the business, survival risk that is there. And the only way you can do justice to this innovation cycle is by making sure that you take into consideration the impact of your idea on the marketplace. The sooner, the better. And the challenge is to make sure that your idea has a compelling value proposition. That's the bare minimum. Beyond compelling, if it can disrupt, Srinivasji did talk about disruption. If you can disrupt an existing market with your idea, that is even better. But if you can reshape a market, change the entire dynamics of a particular niche or a sector, nothing like it. So effectively, if you look at innovation, it starts with desirability of a product, and then it moves on to possibility, which means if I take it to market, there will be a demand for the market, in the market for this product, and eventually it is the viability of the business around the product itself. And the reason, and the key and the essence, the crux of all innovation is, if you were to look at it globally, it is IP protection, and I'm specifically talking about patenting here. And we are kind of behind in the game. 2012, we carried out a study in Indian Institute of Science. We looked at the top countries, including India and China, and we looked at a metric, patents per million population. Patent applications was actually what we were tracking. India was at about 25 ppm, patents per million population. China, in comparison, 300 per million population. South Korea was the numero uno, small country, 3,500 patent applications per million population. US was at about 1,500, Japan. 2021, there was a cardinal shift in the way patenting is done globally. India we filed about 30,000 applications in India. About 60% of those were multinationals operating out of India. So the IP actually, even though it's approved and a patent is granted, the IP actually vests elsewhere. In comparison, China, 500,000 applications. For the first time in the entire history, end of 18th century, when this concept of IP protection started. And since then, for the first time, China overtook the US. So the reason why IP is key to innovation is because, with free markets, WTO, liberalization, globalization, all this good stuff that is going on, it is extremely difficult to create entry barriers for business. The only way in which you can create entry barriers is, one of the lawful ways. There are other ways of economies of scale, economies of scope, monopoly. In certain geographies, even today, government may accord a monopoly for it. That's the state. You could have exclusive customer tie-ups. There are some ways in which it does happen the world over. But IP is globally the best method for creating an entry barrier. And the key to IP, those of you who are familiar, with science and engineering background would be familiar. There are 4 challenges for any patent to get granted. One is the idea has to obviously be novel, original. The idea has to be original. it needs to necessarily have an inventive step. And that inventive step should not be obvious. Third, it should have some usefulness. I mean, why would you want to protect an idea if it is not useful, if it has no utilitarian value for anyone? And whatever idea you're looking to patent should not be abstract. There are some other criteria that the Patents Act has. I'm not going to touch upon it. Atomic energy, anything, any innovation related to atomic energy, discoveries, there are so many of those that are non-patentable. But this, in essence, are the ingredients for grant of a patent, the qualification criteria, so to say. But the real challenge is not in holding a patent or filing a patent application and getting a patent granted. The real challenge lies in making sure that your IP protection, your patenting work, is strategic in nature. And this is where we fail, because I see a lot of our scientists and engineers coming in with, huge churning the ocean kind of ideas. This is an idea that will be a do-all, be-all kind of a thing. And that is not the way you go about patenting. You're better off not patenting your idea, instead having first mover advantage in the marketplace, rather than go file a patent and get a patent granted and have it as a number on your resume, so to say. So, in a nutshell, unless and until we make sure that, again, keeping Schumpeter's creative destruction, theory of creative destruction in mind, unless and until we make sure that all aspects of this cycle, idea to product, to market, to growth in the market, which creates wealth, and that wealth gets flowed back into entrepreneurship, more ideas coming out, it will be difficult to make sure that our economic growth activity is sustainable, is inclusive and balanced. Those are the challenges in my view.